WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach. We are football. We are FM 96.9 HD.
Time to put the pedal to the floor. It's loud and live and local. Oh, time for open mic.
Happy Friday, everybody. We are loud, live, and local in Orlando and in Jacksonville. So many ways to listen to us. FM, AM, HD radio. You can find us on that free iHeartRadio app as well and stream us on your handheld device. And if you don't hear us live, you know what you can do. You can find us on podcast. Just go to 969thegame.com. Look for the open mic section. Look for the podcast section. Look for open mic on demand. And you can hear our entire show at your leisure. You can also hear little snippets of our show, the best segments you can find on podcast as well. Welcome to Open Mic. I'm Mike Bianchi, the Bulldog sports columnist of the Orlando Sentinel. I'm broadcasting live right now from the Sport Mazda Superstores of Central Florida Studios. Got co-host Adam Reardon, the deceptive intellect. He's right here. Across the glass is executive producer Austin Pistolka. We like to call him the pimp of production.
Yeah, feeling good. It's a very casual Friday.
It is a casual Friday. He has on, the pimp has on his pajama shorts.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Jeff Gordon, 24 pajama shorts, baby. That's right.
We want to hear from you. You can call us, 407-916-8255. If you're home, self-distancing, home alone, give us a call, 407-916-8255. Tweet us at 96.9thegame or at the game Jacks. You can also text us on our Academy Sports and Outdoors text line. That's 50857. Guest this morning, Julia Poe, Orlando City insider for the Orlando Sentinel and ProSoccerUSA.com. She will join us at 8 a.m. Richard Lapchick, sports business expert at UCF, will join us at 8:45 a.m. during the bridge to talk about the enormous economic toll the coronavirus is going to have on all of us, including millionaire athletes and billionaire owners. Also, at 9:15 a.m., Bleacher Report college football insider Matt Hayes will join us to talk about whether college football season is going to start on time. Quote of the day. The great Pablo Picasso once said, and I quote, "Every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once he grows up." Deceptive intellect?
That means that, like, all kids are creative. Mm-hmm. That all have they all want to color, they all want to paint, they all want to. But as you get older, people tell you, put those crayons. Now you got to pick up a hammer, or you got to become a worker in society.
Yeah. Although I think
becoming an adult sort of kills your dreams as a child. I mean, think about how many of us wanted to be a baseball player or an astronaut or something like that. And guess what? You know what your parents told you? Got to get a real job, son.
Yeah. Or, I mean,
now we work in sports radio.
Yeah, you can still have a real job, though. I mean, just don't let the stress and anxiety and responsibility of everyday adult life get in the way of being an artiste, if that's what you want.
Yeah, you can try to do both.
Yeah, you could try to do both. All right, spontaneous text question of the day.
Spontaneous text question.
Reardon, you have one? You didn't have one?
Oh, a spontaneous text question?
Yeah. All right, Pistolka's got a spontaneous text question.
Yeah, so yesterday my wife and I were kind of looking at our fridge and being like, all right, we got to use the stuff that's going to go bad first. And I made the greatest sandwich I have ever eaten.
Okay.
It was Wonder Bread.
Oh, God.
Oh, so good. Wonder Bread, mayo, Italian seasoning, red pepper flakes, pepper, then salami, then spicy chicken sausage. Wasn't prepared for that one. That one's so good. and then you put it on top, another Wonder Bread, toasted, mozzarella cheese on the inside, because we had to get rid of it. Mm-hmm. And it was the best sandwich I've ever had. So, my question to everyone out there, as we move forward, needing to cook from home more often, what recipes are people using?
What different recipes might you have?
What are you experimenting with?
For those cans of tuna in your pantry?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah. All right, text those in.
Add a little barbecue sauce to those.
Yeah, barbecue tuna.
Barbecue tuna's so good, man. Let me tell you.
Text those into 50857. We continue to have a lot of sports to talk about, even though the sports world isn't actually going on right now. It's shut down. The ramifications of Tom Brady getting ready to sign with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Bucs already raising the price of season tickets. We'll get to that story. The Rams have cut Todd Gurley after signing him to a monster contract just 2 years ago. We'll get to that story. We'll also get to everything happening in and around the sports world. But first, let's start with the sports world as the coronavirus. As it pertains to the coronavirus, the big news nationally, California Governor Gavin Newsom issued an order yesterday that the 40 million people in the country's most populous state must now simply stay home.
A state as large as ours, a nation state, is many parts, but at the end of the day, we're one body. There's a mutuality and there's a recognition of our interdependence that requires of this moment that we direct a statewide order for people to stay at home. That directive goes into force and effect this evening, and we are confident that the people of the state of California will abide by it.
Okay, so that was the governor of California. His order is the first statewide mandatory lockdown, if you want to call it that, or self-quarantine at home. You have to stay home according to this mandate. And the reason he issued it yesterday was because he says projections are that 56% of the California population will be infected over the next 8 weeks. In sports, New Orleans Saints coach Sean Payton tested positive for the coronavirus. He's the first person in the NFL known to have tested positive for the virus. Payton said he didn't feel well this past Sunday, took the test on Monday, and received the results yesterday afternoon. Payton is resting at home, fatigued, he said, but he is part of the 20% of the cases that have no fever and no cough, but he will self-quarantine in his home. Payton said he came forward with the diagnosis because he wants all people to heed the warnings of government officials. Quote from Payton, "This is not just about social distancing. It's shutting down here for the next couple of weeks. If people understand the curve and understand the bump, we can easily work together as a country to reduce it. Take a minute to understand what the experts are telling you. It's not complicated to do what they're asking of us. Just the type of small investment by everyone will have a dramatic impact." He also said this: younger people feel like they can handle this, but they can be a carrier too. So they need to also take this seriously. Marcus Smart also tested positive. He, of course, is the Boston Celtics point guard. He issued this statement yesterday on Twitter.
"What's up, everyone? So I just found out I tested positive for the coronavirus. I'm okay. I feel fine. I don't feel any of the symptoms. But I can't stress enough of practicing social distancing and really, keeping yourself away from a large group of people. And just really washing your hands and help protect yourself and help protect others by protecting yourself. Thank you."
Okay, that was Boston Celtics point guard Marcus Smart. He was actually more emphatic when he went on Twitter and he tweeted this, quote, "The younger generation in our country must self-distance. This is not a joke. Not doing so is selfish. Together we can beat this, but we must beat it together by being apart for a short while," end quote. So Sean Payton has a message for the younger people in the country. Marcus Smart, who is one of the younger people in the country, he has a message as well. Adam Reardon, do you think the younger people are going to finally start taking this seriously?
I wish I could say yes, but probably not. I mean, the only thing that people are going to listen to are going to be direct orders, not suggestions.
Like the California governor?
Yeah, I think that. I mean, when you saw what was happening in this state
At the beaches.
at the beaches, a couple weeks ago or a couple days ago, for that matter. The young people feel invincible to this, and even though Marcus Smart, even some of the best, most physically well-conditioned human beings on this planet are getting it, the 21-year-old that's just down here for a good time at spring break, is not. That's not going to resonate with him. So, unfortunately, if you're going to want full-on social distancing, if you're going to want a full-on opportunity for this thing to sort of not have the ability to spread, you're going to have what's happened in California. And I understand that people don't like being told what to do. Kids don't, adults don't, small children don't. But I think for our own goods, at some point, we're going to see this almost across the board.
Well, the NBA pretty much did that yesterday. The NBA sent memos to all teams that you need to shut down your facilities, shut down the practice and training facilities, and players and staff need to not show up. Now, before they were allowed to show up and practice, maybe, a player or two show up, but now they're saying nobody at the practice facilities, everybody stay home and self-distance. So the NBA is once again leading the way as far as sports by saying, hey, we don't even want anybody in our buildings. All right, straight ahead. Tom Brady. This Tom Brady story is fascinating to me because he's not actually signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers yet. And if he does sign, will he finally put an end to the state of Florida's reputation as a graveyard of NFL quarterbacks? That's next on Open Mic.
is here. Make sure you have access to the information you need to stay connected and informed during uncertain times. iHeartRadio allows you to access your favorite stations anytime and anywhere. Plus 24/7 national news channels like NBC News Radio. We even have frequently updated podcasts in our health category, like CNN's Coronavirus, Fact versus Fiction, and our own daily coronavirus podcast with multiple updates per day. Always free and there when you need to stay informed. Download the iHeartRadio app.
If you're busy and can't always hear our shows live, download the podcast of your favorite shows. They're available on the iHeartRadio app under podcast or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
I think that Don Yee, being the good agent that he is, tried to get other teams interested and couldn't. Maybe some of them did and talked to him, but apparently Tennessee was interested all along in keeping Ryan Tannehill. Indianapolis all along seemed not to be interested in Brady. John Gruden at the scouting combine basically made it pretty clear we will not be chasing Brady and we will not be inflating the bid for Brady. You would think that if Tom Brady is on the market, people are all going to be lined up making their pitches.
That was NFL insider Peter King. Of course, he works for NBC Sports, former Sports Illustrated NFL insider. So he essentially said people weren't lining up for Tom Brady. Were the Bucs bidding against themselves? Bill Belichick obviously wasn't lining up to keep Tom Brady, and that's my fear. That's my fear that a lot of NFL people, including Belichick, saw that Tom Brady's skills were declining last year. Of course, this year he's going to be a year older. He'll be 43-year-old when the NFL season hopefully starts up in September. So I wrote a column in today's Orlando Sentinel, orlandosentinel.com. You can read it. And essentially it was, hey, I'll just read you the beginning of it, all right? As excited as we all are about Tom Brady coming to Tampa Bay, isn't there a part of you that doesn't want to see the inevitably ugly ending? Do you think Brady knows what he's getting into? Do you think he and his agent actually did their proper historical research? Did the GOAT, the greatest of all time, fail to comprehend that he is coming to a state otherwise known as the great NFL quarterbacking burial ground? And then I go into the history of quarterbacks in the state of Florida. I'm not talking college, obviously. I'm talking NFL quarterbacks. The Bucs haven't had well, you know the statistic about the Bucs. In their 43-year history, they've never drafted a quarterback and then signed that quarterback to a second contract, which is amazing to me. I mean, they haven't, Jameis Winston, obviously.
Vinny Testaverde. They've had two
Vinny
Heisman Trophy
Testaverde. Yeah, two Heisman Trophy winners and two number one overall picks, right? Wasn't Vinny the number one overall pick? They had Steve Young, who they gave up on, thought he was going to be a flop, and then he goes, of course, to San Francisco and becomes a Hall of Famer. Doug Williams, way back when, they were so cheap, and their former owner, Hugh Culverhouse, was so cheap that he wouldn't sign Doug Williams to a second contract. Doug Williams, of course, ends up winning a Super Bowl with the Washington Native Americans. So the Bucs' history of quarterbacks is abysmal. Brad Johnson, the former Florida State quarterback, he was actually the quarterback that led them to the actually, he didn't lead them to the Super Bowl. He was the quarterback of the team, but that defense is what led them to the Super Bowl.
You know who the Bucs' all-time passing leader is?
Bucs' all-time passing leader is... don't tell me this. Do you know?
I'm going to throw out a guess because he has put up a lot of passing yards in a short period of time. Is it Jameis Winston?
It is 100% Jameis Winston.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
It's weird though to say that he's an all-time leader for the Bucs in passing.
Well, he's only been there. I mean, he was there 5 years, and we just said they've never signed a quarterback to a second contract. So.
I guess that says a lot then.
And plus, he's playing in a time and an era when passing yards are way, way up. And then I went through the Dolphins, and they've been searching for a quarterback since Dan Marino left. What about some of these names I dug up? Damon Heward, Jay Fiedler, A.J. Feely, Sage Rosenfels. Remember him?
Oh, yeah.
Gus Frerotte, Joey Harrington, Cleo Lemon.
I remember Cleo Lemon.
Chad Henne, Trent Green, and of course, the Dolphins also ruined Dante Culpepper at the end of his career. And the Jaguars, I mean, good God, don't even get me started on the Jaguars. They've ruined a plethora of quarterbacks, including Blake Bortles and Blaine Gabbert, and on down the list. The Jaguars. All you need to know about the Jaguars, as we talked yesterday, they signed Blake Bortles to an extension and cut him a year later, and then they signed Nick Foles to a monster contract and traded him for a fourth-round pick a year later.
Think about all the quarterbacks that have come in and gone out of this state. I mean, it's like a turnstile.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one guy that we look at that maybe could have been successful here in Drew Brees showed up, and they're like, nah, damaged goods. Forget about you.
Right?
Yeah. Down there in Miami when Nick Saban was the head coach. We'll go with Dante Culpepper instead.
Pastolka, I used some of our analogies in my column today.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Tom Brady playing for the Bucs is like hanging the Mona Lisa on the bathroom wall in room 217 of the Red Roof Inn. It's like the Rolling Stones playing their final concert at the Holiday Inn Lounge right outside of Ocala, which Adam is very familiar with. It's
many a night.
Yeah, it's like Tiger Woods ending his amazing career at the Panama Dunes member guest tournament. Yeah.
That's not fair to the Bucs, who have won a Super Bowl, by the way.
They won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And lots of teams have won Super Bowls.
What about
Tom Brady's won how many on his own?
Yeah, I mean,
well, not on his own.
He never made a tackle.
Yeah. In New England, he was driving the Lamborghini of NFL franchises, but in Tampa Bay, he's being handed the keys to the 2003 Ford Windstar. Memo to Tommy.
Ugh.
Memo to Tommy. It's hard to be the man when you're driving a minivan.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, look, Jameis Winston did lead the NFL in passing yards last year. So,
yeah, but only because he threw 30 interceptions and they were trying to catch up.
That could have been part of it. There's no question.
All right, our thought-provoking daily poll.
Our thought-provoking daily poll today: are the Bucs getting the old Tom Brady, or simply an old Tom Brady? The old, the good, the GOAT, or an old, washed up, over the hill?
I fear because
damaged goods.
I fear because nobody else was really making a play for him, and the fact that the Bucs are desperate. They haven't been to the playoffs in 12 years. I fear they're getting an old Tom Brady. That's my fear. I hope I'm wrong. Believe me, I hope I'm wrong.
Central Florida.
Does Tom Brady strike you as one of those athletes, sort of, we've thrown around the words Mamba mentality for a long time. I mean, but this is a guy that works hard on his craft, keeps his body in really good shape at this older age. Do you think that this new challenge for him, the hey, Belichick and Kraft thought I was done, the rest of the league thought I was done, do you think that drives him a little bit harder this year, and maybe we don't see a steep decline? Maybe
the Patriots?
No, for the Bucs. I mean, when he looks at being disrespected the way that he's being disrespected by not having any of these teams essentially line up for him,
maybe
drives him a little bit, and that maybe we see a pretty decent year out of him.
I hope so. I hope he has a phenomenal year. I hope he is the old Tom Brady. I hope he is the GOAT. But I just have my doubts. And the main reason I have my doubts because Bill Belichick, who has Jared Stidham on his roster as his quarterback of the future, Bill Belichick said, "Okay, I'm gonna let Tom Brady walk."
Well, Belichick was willing to pull the plug like 3 years ago.
Yeah, but he had a successor then. He had Jimmy G. Now he's got Jared Stidham. If he's willing to go with Jared Stidham over Tom Brady, I'm worried if I'm a Buccaneers fan.
Maybe he sees the same thing out of some of those guys, or he has a plan because the Indianapolis Colts now have themselves a quarterback to get Jacoby Brissett. Maybe he's got a plan for a younger quarterback he feels comfortable with, and it may not be Jared Stidham.
All right. Go to @969 The Game or @TheGameJax and vote on our thought-provoking daily poll. Straight ahead, this day in sports history was the beginning of the end. of one of Major League Baseball's greatest players. That's next on Open Mic.
More Open Mic up next.
Guys, you know, summertime's on the way. What does that mean? The lawn is going to be growing like weeds. You're going to have to get out there every weekend and mow and blow and trim and edge. Or you can just hire my good friends at Central Florida's finest lawn and tree services. These guys will do it all for you. They'll do your weekly lawn service. They'll do lawn fertilization. They'll do lawn pest control. They'll do tree service. They'll do irrigation installation and repair. It is one-stop shopping for lawn maintenance. Give them a call. Tell them the Bulldog sent you. They'll make you a deal. Write this number down, 407-209-4930, or email them at centralfla, that's centralflalandscaping @gmail.com.
Hey, guys, bring
Here for 96.9 The Game with a look at your weather. It is going to be a gorgeous. We're starting off with this day in sports history, then front page of the internet, right? 72 degrees.
Sweet and salty bars from Nature Valley are a perfect combination.
What we can do is right after we get done talking about.
So take a moment for yourself. You deserve every laugh.
3-4 minutes maybe.
Nature Valley Sports.
38, yeah.
No, don't be at the beach. Stay home.
We can still think about it.
No, stay home.
No,
Yes, you can think about it. You can imagine the beach.
Make yourself a margarita, because I know you've got tequila and margarita mix at home.
No, I don't need that. I have
Got
my
drink-
No, you've
I've
got the drink with
I've got my drink maker machine.
I'm sorry, I can't believe I even thought of that.
All right, on this day in sports history, March 20th, 1989, Major League Baseball announced that it was starting an investigation into allegations that then Cincinnati Reds manager Pete Rose was betting on baseball. Commissioner Bart Giamatti hired Washington lawyer John Dowd to head the investigation. Anybody old enough remembers that. Austin, I don't think, was born yet. I think Adam remembers it. Dowd compiled hundreds of hours of testimony from numerous sources and witnesses that detailed Rose's history of gambling on baseball while serving as a manager, including betting on his own team. Much of the information came from Rose's old bookie and another guy named Paul Jansen, a bodybuilder friend of Rose's who was in jail at the time.
Nice.
Pete Rose didn't hang around with the best of people. Rose continued to proclaim his innocence. He was eventually, though, persuaded to accept a settlement that included a lifetime ban from the game. In 2004, years later, after repeated denials, Pete Rose published a book, My Prison Without Bars, in which he finally confessed on gambling on the Reds, though he added that he had always just bet on the Reds to win.
Did you bet on baseball? Yes, I did, and that was my mistake, not coming clean a lot earlier.
Don't know.
Okay, that was an interview he did.
It was on Outside the Lines.
That was an interview he did with ESPN's Outside the Lines. Play that again.
Did you bet on baseball? Yes, I did, and that was my mistake, not coming clean a lot earlier.
Nah, that was Pete Rose admitting he'd been lying and denying the whole time. Lying and denying. So, all right, let's go back in sports history, Adam Reardon, all right? Do you really believe Pete Rose only bet on the Reds to win? Because I don't.
Well,
he was a degenerate gambler.
So I think had there had been evidence that he had bet on them to lose, we would know that by now.
Okay. So you're buying that he only bet on them to win?
I think that though he's a degenerate gambler, like there's got to. I mean, like
He's also a fierce competitor.
There is like an honor amongst thieves and stuff. You know,
I don't know,
I think that betting on his team to lose would go against everything that guy stood for. Now, there may have been days where he knew his starting pitcher was trash and that he was definitely not going to bet on them to win. But I think betting on them to lose, I would again, and I think we would know that by now.
I know some degenerate gamblers.
Yeah.
And when they get in the hole, they would do anything. They would do anything to win. And Pete Rose, I'm sure, was in the hole at times. All right.
I don't know if he would ever have been in the hole. He was a Major League Baseball player. He had money to burn.
Well,
how deep in the hole do you think Pete Rose ever got?
Well, first of all, I mean there are a lot of John Daly, for crying out loud, made a lot of money on the PGA Tour, and he lost it all by being a degenerate gambler.
True.
So
Believe
again,
me, it goes faster than it comes.
Yeah.
so anyway, that is this day in sports history.
What you reading there, honey?
It's very exciting stuff, you see. It's the front page of the internet.
Here we go with the front page of the internet today, brought to you by twitch.tv/Radio Guy Austin, my Twitch stream. It's happening at 1:30 today.
I did not endorse yesterday.
No, you did not, and you missed out on me getting a big win. But
What,
you know,
in that war game?
Yeah, in Warzone.
Okay, what do you got today?
All right, as for today, I don't know yet. We're polling the people, letting the people decide today.
Well, let me know because I may endorse it today again.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Sounds good. On YouTube's trending page today is the Quarantine Classic by Dude Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
All week, they've gone live on YouTube every single day with a new challenge for the Dude Perfect crew. They have their own facility with basketball court, golf greens, and that sort of stuff. They've done a 3-point contest, roller chair hockey, a golf shootout, and a 3v3 soccer shootout versus the Panda, which is their mascot, as goalie. Tune in tonight to see the exciting finale of the Quarantine Classic. You know what the winner gets of
What?
the Quarantine Classic?
Hand sanitizer.
Nope, toilet paper. All right, I haven't done one of these in a while, so let me... Happy birthday, posthumously.
Oh, there you go.
To the great Fred McFeely Rogers. Mr. Rogers passed away in 2003 and remains one of the most beloved people in all of TV history, if not just history. How many years was Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood on TV for?
Oh, that's he was on TV for 29 years.
I was going to say 26, popped in my head.
33 years from 1968 to 2001.
Hey, can we come back from break? Can we come back with Mr. Rogers singing a little something?
I can see what I can do.
You know where Mr. Rogers went to college, right?
He went to Rollins College
That's
here
right.
in
Very-
Florida.
very good.
Here in Winter Park.
Yeah.
Very good stuff. On to Reddit. Interesting thing about Reddit today is that 2 of the top 5 growing communities today are the True Off My Chest subreddit, which is a place where you can basically post anything that's bothering you and you just need to get it out there off your chest, and the NBA subreddit. Interesting what becomes popular during times like these. The NBA, the number one post right now is always all of the confirmed cases within the NBA.
14.
14, and
Yeah.
they are all listed with links to where you can see how they announced it, is the best way to put that. And finally, from the Shower Thoughts subreddit with 44,000 upvotes, Mufasa from The Lion King is the quintessential father figure. Darth Vader is the quintessential anti-father figure. Both were voiced by James Earl Jones.
Ah, yeah.
Just a little weird something to think about there that, you know, father figures, anti-father figures, all voiced by the same guy.
And he was also Prince Akeem's dad, the King of Zamunda,
Yes.
in Coming to America, the ultimate father figure.
That is correct. And that is the front page of the internet today.
From our text line, Pete Rose was an addict. Anything goes. Somebody texted him.
But you don't think that through that 100-page report, through talking with his bookie and guys in jail, that we would have already known that he bet against his team? I'm just giving credit to the investigation.
Well, maybe you're right. In
Yeah.
today's world, with all the social media,
we would have known.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. All right, straight ahead, we're going to talk to Julia Poe. She covers Orlando City and MLS for ProSoccerUSA.com and the Orlando Sentinel. We'll talk to her. I want to ask her this question. Does MLS and do MLS teams have the cash reserves to withstand a long shutdown? That's next on Open Mic.
More Open Mic up next.
Cowardly, gutless, and wrong.
Hey, people, you know right now we all need to make sure our AC is working and working properly. You're going to be home during the hot summer months, and I've got the perfect solution. How about the Fixify app? That's F-Y-X-I-F-Y. With one click, you can hire a certified service technician that's already in your area and ready to come to your house right now. I like to call it the Uber of AC maintenance. You can download that Fixify app now to schedule your spring maintenance. Get your air conditioning running fine-tuned right now before it gets super hot. Your AC is going to be working overtime, and then it goes down. You don't want that to happen. I was on the Fixify app the other day, clicked, and a certified technician was at my place in 12 minutes doing my spring maintenance. Again, it's the Uber of AC repair. How do you avoid waiting 3 days in your hot house, waiting for that AC appointment? Download Fixify. That's how. How do you avoid price gouging AC companies? You download Fixify. Again, and you pay right through that Fixify app, just like Uber. Download Fixify now. Get your spring maintenance done. That's Fy, Xify, and get your AC fixed in a click.
with the iHeartRadio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeart radio station.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty.
Happy birthday to Mr. Rogers, posthumously. Rollins College's own Mr. Rogers. His birthday is today. We need more Mr. Rogers in today's world.
With you, so
He would be very comforting in these times, would Fred Rogers.
since we're together, we might as well say.
Mailman would show up and he'd be like, nah, just leave it in the box.
Mr. Rogers would say, I appreciate you coming to my house, but also please stay 6 feet away from me. Social distancing.
He would.
He would tell you all about social distancing. in a
he
way.
would do it in a way that would make it like fun. We'll have fun. All right. A lot of news out there. Even though we are a sports show, there's still a lot of sports news to talk about out there. Obviously, there's a lot going on with coronavirus. We'll run down those stories real quick, and then I'll get to the story I want to get to. The big news nationally, of course, is that California's Governor Gavin Newsom has issued he's essentially telling his 40 million people in the country's most populous state that they need to stay home. That edict came at midnight last night, and so we'll see what happens. Californians are saying, hey, or the California governor is saying, hey, stay home and don't go. You can go out of your houses for certain things, essential needs, but stay home. Sean Payton became the first NFL figure that we know of who has tested positive for the coronavirus. Payton, 56, said that he didn't feel well this past Sunday, took the test on Monday, and received the results yesterday. He's resting at home. He says he's fatigued, but said he is part of the 20% of the cases that have no fever and no cough, but that he will self-quarantine in his home. In the NBA, Marcus Smart acknowledged yesterday that he tested positive. He, of course, is the Boston Celtics point guard, and also 2 Los Angeles Lakers tested positive, although the Lakers did not submit who those players were. Here was Marcus Smart yesterday talking about the coronavirus.
What's up, everyone? So I just found out I tested positive for the coronavirus. I'm okay. I feel fine. I don't feel any of the symptoms. But I can't stress enough of practicing social distancing and really, keeping yourself away from a large group of people. And just really washing your hands and help protect yourself and help protect others by protecting yourself. Thank you.
That was Marcus Smart. He also went on Twitter and was much more emphatic. He tweeted, quote, "The younger generation in our country must self-distance. This is not a joke. Not doing so is selfish. Together we can beat this, but we must beat it together by being apart for a short while." The NBA, by the way, yesterday, as a result of, 14 players who have tested positive, the NBA sent out a memo yesterday afternoon that calls for teams to close their practice and training facilities to players and staff starting today, and they will remain closed until further notice. Orlando Magic coach Steve Clifford told the Orlando Sentinel, quote, "This is a time when health is much more important than basketball. I think we should all be doing our part to really commit to social distancing and do our part to try to hopefully slow down the pandemic as much as we can. So this decision makes total sense," end quote. So there you have it. All right, Tom Brady's the big story in sports out there. Obviously, Tom Brady hasn't yet signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but he's expected to sign as soon as he gets his physical done. And there is an issue with these NFL free agents getting physicals now. And the reason there's a issue with it is because of the coronavirus. And, you can't fly these players in and have the team doctor examine them now. So you have to either get an independent doctor that both parties agree on, which is what Tom Brady's trying to do, or you just have to wait. You just have to wait. And this obviously creates some issues within the process. And did you see what the NFL's doing?
Not seen what they're doing
The
yet.
NFL, according to, I think it was the Associated Press, the NFL is, they are doing contracts now for free agents that has a clause in them that essentially if you don't pass your physical, which I guess could be if you have the coronavirus and you don't pass your physical, then you don't get your signing bonus. This is not going over well with players.
Weird.
Yeah. So, but again, you want to have play before you invest millions and millions of dollars on a player. You want him to pass the physical. You certainly want him to pass the physical. Now, I don't know if the coronavirus should the coronavirus be a part of this, because again, you want to test their knees and their backs and all of that. Their arm, their
turn
shoulder.
your head and cough and all that sort of stuff.
I mean, I guess, for if I'm seeing it from the owner's side, they don't want to shell out a $12 million signing bonus and then a week later have you test positive for coronavirus, and then there's my player sitting on the shelf for God knows how long at this point. We don't really know. So I get it, but listen, sports is still a business, and
but here's the thing: they're going to have to wait before they can even get their physical. So again, they're going to have to wait to see if they're going to get their signing bonus.
Well,
they don't even know.
Well, I would say this, that if NBA players and people of high privilege are able to get their hands on these tests to kind of double check.
Yeah, but that still doesn't mean you're going to get a physical just because you're tested for coronavirus. NFL teams are still going to want to test you for other stuff.
Right. But I think that getting the coronavirus test to you, we've seen that for people in influenced position, they can get their hands on it. And so at that point, if they test positive for coronavirus, they know that they have it, and then you'll have the regular physical. I just saw where Joe Flacco was cut because he failed his physical.
Well, Joe Flacco was cut because he's not a starter anymore and was probably making too much money.
They gave him a physical via Skype. They took one look at him like, that's all right. You failed the physical.
Yeah. Speaking of Tom Brady, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have already raised season ticket prices for next year. I don't know if I agree with that move. Those fans have had to sit through 12 years of not making the playoffs, and now we're in the middle of this coronavirus, and the Bucs are raising season ticket prices.
So I thought about this and thought, man, it's so unfair to these fans. Well, how many fans have actually sat through that? Their attendance is actually pretty low.
Well, third lowest in the league.
Right, third lowest in the league. So people haven't been sitting through it.
Well, they were until maybe 8 or 9 years in.
Okay, yeah, but my point is this.
UCF
is
online
that
one.
They shouldn't raise the ticket prices on season ticket renewals. If you've stayed with the team through this part, then renewals are at the same price. But
I like it.
But if you're Johnny come lately, you've got your brand new Tom Brady jersey on.
I like that.
No.
I like that.
No, you ain't jumping on this pirate ship, at no added cost.
That's a good idea, Adam.
Reward that loyalty.
Good for you.
Yes.
Good for you. By the way, Todd Gurley was cut yesterday by the St. Louis Rams after, 2 years ago, he signed the biggest NFL contract in history for a running back. I said it then, and I've been saying for years on this show, and people have been making fun of me. Brandon Kravitz has made fun of me. Mark Daniels has made fun of me. Never sign an NFL running back to a big contract. Never draft an NFL running back high in the first round. You can get these guys off the street. They're a dime a dozen are running backs in the NFL, and the Rams right now are seeing that, aren't they? aren't they?
I mean, it's such a weird place because I remember growing up, like you had to get Barry Sanders, you had to get Edgerrin James,
Not anymore.
you had to get Emmitt Smith, who was like a mid to high first round pick. But you're right. Like you look around the league now, and the running backs that are paying dividends are the guys you get in the fourth round.
Exactly.
You can let Dalvin Cook slide into the second round and get a pretty good running back. Now Christian McCaffrey's been really, really good as well. But yeah, the Leonard Fournettes of the world. You look at him, just another one to add to the list of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Why'd we do that?
Why'd we take him number 4? Do we have UCF Ron line 1?
Yeah, but I just received a slew of calls, text messages saying, hey, Adam's idea is exactly what they did. If you are a renewal...
Oh, that is what they did?
That is what they did. They have not raised rates for renewals.
Good.
They have raised it 15% for new season tickets.
Okay, all right, I'm okay with that.
That's good.
Let's go to UCF Ron line 1. UCF Ron.
You guys are keeping the non-sports world pretty interesting. My thing on this trades and all these blockbuster trades is not the one-offs or this guy for this guy in the team. It's these multiplayer, multi-team deals as far as these lack of physicals and so forth. So, I mean, they would all have to be pending, and then the third guy or the second or fourth guy down the list on this 3-team deal would void the whole thing because it could get incredibly complicated anytime there's more than 2 players involved in a trade. And that's where I think I wish they wouldn't have allowed this to happen. They would have just pushed it back because you're not going to know as a team, you're not going to know what you got until after these things. And then what happens if you find out a month down the road that, okay, my third cornerback I got from Cleveland didn't pass. Well, I gave up a guy already, and he's sitting over in Baltimore, and that kind of thing. So that's where I think the bigger problem lies.
Appreciate the call, UCF Ron. Thanks for calling. We appreciate it. We appreciate all of our normal callers calling in. We're still here for you. Let's pause for station identification. All right, let's bring in our next guest. She covers MLS. She covers Orlando City for the Orlando Sentinel and ProSoccerUSA.com. She's my colleague at the Sentinel, Julia Poe. You can find her on Twitter at JPoe24601. All right, Julia, I'm thinking you need a new Twitter address.
Really?
Yes. I mean, why are all these numbers there?
It's a musical reference. All the nerds get it. I get like 50-50 compliments on it.
Oh, what's the musical reference?
It's a Les Mis reference.
I'm mad that I didn't know it.
So
like,
it's
like we all get 8675309. We're like, her name must be Jenny, but no, that's this is way above our pay grade.
This is Broadway. Is what this is.
Les Mis.
Wow. Yeah, way too cultured for us, Julia. Way too cultured for us. All right, Julia.
Got to slip a little culture in there.
All right, Julia, tell us what's going on right now with MLS. There was a story yesterday. They have pushed back the start of their season, I think, at least until May 10th. Was that it?
Yeah, that's it. So everything has been suspended through May 10th. That's the earliest that we're going to see a return to play. And it's kind of interesting because it's obviously pushing back the entire calendar year for the league, but they've made it clear that they're still trying to play a full season, and they're possibly going to slot the MLS Cup back into December after moving it up earlier in the year last season. So I think they're trying to figure out how to make things work, but it's going to be a lot of moving parts in the coming weeks as they figure that out.
So last season they moved the MLS Cup up to November, and now you're saying, December, probably, I would think late December, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well. One of the things that might actually kind of come to the advantage of MLS is if the U.S. Open Cup remains canceled for the year. That could make it a little bit easier because if you remember, that normally kind of is a lot of midweek games. So there might be some midweek openings where the league could kind of slot some games in. But a lot of it is just kind of trying to move this puzzle around and figure out, if the start date is in May, then when can they reasonably get the season finished without asking too much of players to be playing a bunch of midweek games?
Julia, everybody knows MLS has such an international influence. What's going on with Orlando City players who aren't from the United States, who grew up elsewhere? What are they doing during this crisis?
Yeah, there were a lot of new players, especially this year, that were coming from South and Latin America, particularly South America for this season. Kind of the good news there is that most players bring their immediate family over. So a lot of these guys, they're quarantined in a new city away from a lot of their extended family, but they have their wives, their kids are all here with them at least to kind of help them get through this. I know Pedro Gallese, the goalkeeper, has posted some very cute videos of him and his son and daughter hanging out and enjoying the time together. So a lot of these guys, they're not stranded. They are, training with one another, and no one's kind of stuck out on their own. But it definitely has to be a very isolating feeling to go from being in the locker room with a bunch of guys that kind of are your family every day to having to be on your own and kind of get through this very remotely from each other.
All right, Austin, before I forget this, find the song that is in Julia Poe's Twitter address. Find that song, and we're going to come back with that next segment because I want to hear it. All right, Julia Poe, she covers MLS and Orlando City for ProSoccerUSA.com and the Orlando Sentinel. She's right here on Open Mic.
So we've talked a little bit about the NBA telling organizations, listen, shut down the facilities, shut down the training venues, no, don't let anybody in. Has MLS done that yet? And then maybe even a bigger question, as soon as there's like kind of an all clear and we can go, how quickly can they start the season? How in shape are players going to be if they've not been training properly?
Right. So I think that's kind of the big question here. First, MLS hasn't gone to quite the extreme that the NBA has. They're not fully shutting down training facilities, but they have extremely strict policies on who can be there at what time. Basically, it's a one player in, one player out type system. So there's no group trainings. We've heard that there were some conversations at the league level to open that up. They shut that down. They just want the guys training individually, either at the facility individually or on their own. So I think there's no way that you can, if they don't lift that training mandate until May, there's no way that you can just immediately dive back in. I think it's going to be a necessity to basically create a condensed preseason schedule for these players, not necessarily with matches, but enough time, at least a couple weeks, to get their fitness back up, because that would be such a risk if you just threw them into the deep end coming straight off of, self-quarantining themselves.
Julia, I'm curious, obviously the NBA and the NFL and Major League Baseball, these leagues have, obviously loads of money in their coffers, probably have lots of reserves in their coffers. MLS, a lot of these franchises, we've got some new expansion franchises this year in Nashville and Miami. I'm just wondering, how much money is in MLS coffers to withstand a long shutdown?
Well, I think that's why you're seeing this league in particular say that they're not cutting any games, because unlike NFL and NBA, MLS is very reliant still on gate revenue. They still need those ticket sales. They still need to bring that money in through actually hosting a game, not just a closed-door game, but an open game to the public. And they need every single one of those games for their clubs to succeed and to thrive. And they can't necessarily rest on their television contracts, because they have not been able to land some of those really, really big picture broadcast contracts. So I think that's the biggest difference you're going to see in how they're moving forward, is that MLS is not like the NFL or the NBA where they can just drop a game or two if it would help the schedule. They need every single one of these games. They've budgeted for all of them. And I think that's kind of the biggest difference there, is that they need every single one of those opportunities to generate revenue.
Julia, you're around the team and obviously around MLS as a whole.
She's not now.
Well, not. Well, you're within 6 feet. I mean, you're socially distanced from the team. What do you, in your opinion, kind of the idea maybe you've gotten from people maybe behind the scenes? What's best case scenario here for Orlando City fans?
Man, that's a hard one. I mean, best case scenario, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but it's just for them to be able to get a full season in. It's going to be difficult the longer that this goes on. I know that a lot of people in the business have said that they would not be surprised to see this get pushed off where we don't see
Look
sports
down.
being played until the summer, meaning June. But I think it's still such an area of uncertainty just as far as
starring Hugh
entirely
Jackman.
know what's happening. The league doesn't entirely know what their plan is yet, and it's the next week or so is going to be really important in just kind of seeing what that response looks like.
All right, do you have the song, Austin?
There we go.
Oh, my God.
All right, you need to sing along, Julia.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They're not going to say it for another, like, minute and a half.
Oh, for another minute and a half?
Oh, good.
Oh, no.
Where they released prisoner 24601.
Yep, that's his number.
So what's the lyric? You can just say it. You don't have to sing it.
It's not really a lyric. It's just that his prisoner number is 24601, and it's like a big repeated theme throughout the entire musical. It's very nerdy. I'm really outing myself by having that in my Twitter bio.
Is
but
that your favorite? Is that your favorite play?
Not anymore. It
No.
used to be back when I first got on Twitter.
So what's your
But,
favorite play now?
Now I'm really basic, but Dear Evan Hansen, I saw it the last time I was in New York, and I cried the whole time.
It's so good. I love the Dear Evan Hansen soundtrack. I haven't been able to
so
see it live, but oh my gosh.
I'm old school. You know what mine is? Hello, Dolly.
That is a great one. That
Yeah.
is great taste. I love that musical.
We accidentally took the kids to Rock of Ages as opposed to School of Rock. We bought the wrong tickets, which was quite the adventure, by the way. I got a 10-year-old.
Are we talking Broadway right here on this?
Hey, listen. I mean, thank the coronavirus. Okay, this is what it's come to.
Bringing culture to America. Coronavirus 2020.
Julia Poe, we always appreciate your insight and information. Thank you so much. You can follow her on Twitter at that Twitter address that I don't have in front of me right now, but it has a lot of numbers. And you can find her at OrlandoSentinel.com and ProSoccerUSA.com. Thank you, Julia.
Thanks, guys. Stay safe.
All right, straight ahead, it is the blast. We are getting ready to detonate on a number of topics and polls that we have as well. That is next on Open Mic.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Yeah. More Open Mic in minutes.
A lot of things I love about my Safe Touch home security system. One thing I love is it keeps me and my family safe, but here's the real thing that I love. It keeps me and my family safe and healthy. Yes, property's important. I know that. But when your family's health is threatened, we must all take every precaution. So right now, every new Safe Touch security system will come with the health and wellness feature for free. Lack of movement notifications can be texted to you. Panic buttons can be placed throughout the home. The Safe Touch app keeps you in constant communication, and your Safe Touch cameras give you the look and listen feature, which is awesome, by the way. Most importantly, the Safe Touch two-way communicator also serves as a 24/7 medical assistant in the event that 911 is unavailable to you. Your health and safety is what Safe Touch is most concerned about. Go to safetouch.com for additional details. In these scary times, we are all facing new challenges, and our loved ones and our home should be our number one priority.
Broadcasting live from the Don Mealy
replay of the show. Just search Open Mic on demand wherever you download podcasts.
You feel that?
Oh, I can feel it.
We're about to blast off.
Just hook it to my veins!
It's time for The Blast.
The Blast brought to you by Safe Touch Home Security. More home burglaries happen in Orlando than any other metropolitan area in Florida. Jacksonville, number 2, by the way. Go to safetouch.com right now. Get a system you can trust at a price you can afford.
All right, starting off the Blast today with a little breaking news. Todd Gurley will join the Falcons on a 1-year contract. Pretty much a fall from grace there when it comes to contract size, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. He'll be making minimum wage, $16 an hour for the Falcons.
That's minimum wage now?
I don't even know what minimum
What?
wage is.
Listen,
Oh my gosh, I wish.
After signing the largest contract ever, unless he's done something really, really dumb with his money, he should be okay financially.
Yeah, he's probably fine. Remember, you can vote on all of the Blast polls here on our Twitter at 969thegame. Here we go, the Open Mic thought-provoking daily poll. Are the Buccaneers getting the old Tom Brady or simply an old Tom Brady?
I think they're getting an old Tom Brady, and the reason I say that is because Bill Belichick let him walk. Bill Belichick wants to win more than anything, and if he's letting Tom Brady walk and is not offering, I mean, it's not like the Buccaneers gave him a long-term deal. They gave him, what was it, a 2-year deal, I think, $30 million a year. If Belichick wasn't even willing to do that, I think the Buccaneers, I fear, are getting an old Tom Brady.
I would have believed that. But I think the level of disrespect is going to drive Tom Brady to be the old Tom Brady.
He's going to beat Mother Nature.
I think.
You think he can beat Mother Nature?
And
he's very pliable.
Here's the one I'm got my fingers crossed for. Fingers crossed.
Okay.
That he has maintained a friendship / relationship with Antonio Brown. Can we get Antonio Brown to the Buccaneers with him?
No.
Add another weapon?
No.
I think that's one of our questions.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
With 65% of the vote, an old Tom Brady. Not the old Tom Brady.
Okay.
Supplemental poll number 1. Should the Buccaneers be raising season ticket prices 15% to take advantage of excitement over Tom Brady coming to town? Yes or no?
Well, since we found out that they're only raising them for renewals and the Johnny-come-latelys who want to jump on the bandwagon because Tom Brady's coming to town, I'll go. I'm okay with it. I'll go, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, especially for you Johnny-come-lately.
Yeah.
You know, oh, I just got my new jersey. Can't wait.
Yeah,
well, you're going to pay a premium to get in this building now, okay?
The Eddie Spaghettis of the world. 59% of the votes say no. They should,
but they probably didn't know what the stipulation was.
Right, exactly. Supplemental poll number 2: will Tom Brady convince the Bucs to also sign Antonio Brown?
No, I totally disagree with Adam Breeden here. I hope not. And, I'm reading that Ian Rappaport, NFL Network, is saying that Bruce Arians is not on board with bringing Antonio Brown to town, and I'm glad that's the case. The last thing the Buccaneers need is dysfunction in their locker room. They've already got 2 really good receivers. Antonio Brown's going to come in there and demand the ball. There'll be dysfunction. They'll be fighting over who gets the ball. And no, in no way, shape, or form should they bring Antonio Brown into that locker room.
Was Antonio Brown dysfunctional when he was on the Patriots? It seemed like he just went out there and did his job. It was the off-the-field stuff that got him, remember?
He was only there for a week.
He was on the Patriots for a week, and he didn't have any skin on the bottom of his feet.
No, man. He caught a touchdown pass against the Dolphins.
And in the preseason.
No, that was in the regular season.
It was in the regular season.
Yeah, it was in the regular season. And then they had the accusation from his former trainer, and that's what kiboshed. But when he was with Tom Brady, I mean...
Okay, but the Patriots didn't have any other star receivers on the team.
And it hurt him down the stretch. Well, bring Antonio Brown. Listen, in this day and age with nothing to talk about, you figure if Antonio Brown was doing something stupid, we'd hear about it. He's learned his lesson.
Well, first of all,
give the guy a second chance.
The NFL's not even finished with their quote-unquote investigation of Antonio Brown. We don't even know if he's going to be eligible to play.
Antonio Brown has at least turned off the Instagram Live for now.
Good.
That is very true. Wow.
He's on his best behavior.
I tell you what, Adam, you may have
Give him a
convinced
chance.
me.
Give him a chance.
May have
Second
convinced
chance.
me there.
I'm a second chance guy.
What did the listeners say?
Or a third,
The
fourth, fifth,
listener
sixth,
said
seventh, yes.
with 63% of the vote. No!
Yeah, there you
Come
go.
on now.
Do not sign Antonio Brown. All right, poll number 3. Actually, all right, this one's fine. With the Rams cutting Todd Gurley, do you now agree with Bianchi that you should never give a running back a monster contract or draft a running back in the first round? Yes or no?
I mean, again, this isn't even a question. I've had this stance for years now. People have ridiculed me for this stance. I mean, look around the league. Todd Gurley he got cut. He signed the biggest contract in NFL history, and he was a shell of himself.
Because he got arthritis.
Well, again, running backs, the shelf. How about Le'Veon Bell? How's he doing since the Jets signed him to that huge deal? Did he help them significantly? No. I mean, you can just go down the list of high-priced running backs who haven't worked out.
As long as everybody else agrees not to take a guy in the first round, I'll agree not to. My fear is that I want a Saquon Barkley on my team, and if I say, well, I'll wait till the second or third round to pick him up, somebody's going to get him midway through the first round, and yeah, it's a great plan until somebody doesn't sort of adhere to it, because guys like Saquon Barkley are big. Ezekiel Elliott is one of the better running backs. Derrick Henry, all those guys that are first round picks.
Who was the guy when Todd Gurley went out their Super Bowl year that came in? They got him off the street.
Went to C.J. Anderson?
Yeah, they got C.J. Anderson off the street, and guess what? He was fine.
Mike Shanahan made a living out of taking like third and fourth round guys. They had a Mike Anderson. They had a few different guys that Mike Shanahan.
Different Andersons.
Yeah, they had a few guys. Yeah, I think C.J. Anderson was one of them.
With 71% of the vote, yes, they agree with you, Mike. Congratulations. Supplemental poll number 4. Do you think stern public service messages from coaches like Sean Payton and players like Marcus Smart who have tested positive for coronavirus will convince young people to take it seriously? Yes or no?
Actually, I think yes. I know my daughters are in their 20s. They are taking this seriously, not necessarily because of Sean Payton. But because of what's going on in New York. They live in New York. There's essentially been a mandate there. Stay in your house. We saw what happened in California last night. The governors told all 40 million of their citizens to stay in your house. I think they're starting to get the message.
Yeah, I think maybe bigger names than the two guys we just mentioned. If Drake comes out and says, remember, Drake was hanging out with Kevin Durant just a couple weeks ago, too. LeBron, those types of guys. Sean Payton looks too much like everybody's dad for young people to want to listen to him. But I think when you get the superstars of your league or superstars of entertainment together, then I think people start listening, and I don't think we're very far off from that, seeing how Kevin Durant's one of the guys that tested positive.
With 77% of the vote, no, it will not convince young people to take it seriously. And finally, would you rather be rich and famous but universally ridiculed, or just be a normal person?
Rich and famous.
Shocker.
Rich and famous.
Isn't that
what you already are? I want my fame.
I want money. I want fame. I don't need any of that, self.
As long as my family and friends like me, do they count? By the way,
they're in the universe.
They're in the universe. That's universally. You're a loner.
As long as they faked it. As long as they faked that they like me,
because they want to stay in the will.
Yes.
Behind their back, they hated you.
That's right.
I'm okay with that.
51% say they would rather be a normal person.
Lies.
Okay. Oh, 49% agree with me then, right?
That would be the math.
Yeah, so it's 50-50.
Just gonna round to make it better.
All right, straight ahead, The Bridge begins. The new extended version of The Bridge. We will ask Mark Daniels a question about the business of football. That's next on Open Mic.
Mark Daniels joins Mike Bianchi on The Bridge. Next.
If you are looking for new appliances, you need to check out my good friends at Aggressive Appliances. I just got a new washer and dryer from there, and they were unbelievable. The service is incredible, and the thing I love about Aggressive Appliances is they have Orlando's largest appliance showroom. They have all of the appliances in there, washers, dryers, kitchens, all in coordinated showrooms where you can actually see how they look in your home. You can hear how they sound. You can even test drive them. Take in a load of laundry and do it right there in the showroom if you want to. I don't think they'll let you do that at the big box stores, do you? Again, check them out at aggressiveappliances.com. That's aggressiveappliances.com. And don't forget to tell them the Bulldog sent you.
Day 89 degrees is your high, sunny all day long, and around 9 a.m. it's going to be 72 degrees.
Do it right to save 5% every day by shopping at Lowe's in-store or online. Save 5% on eligible purchases just by using your Lowe's Advantage card. Do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Subject to credit approval, cannot be combined with other credit offers. Exclusions apply. See store for details. U.S. only.
You might be missing some of the benefits that stereo can provide.
Listen live. We are Orlando's sports leader on AM 740 and iHeartRadio. FM 96.9. The Game. With Mike Bianchi and Mark Daniels. We are FM 96.9. The Game. AM 740. And listen live on iHeartRadio.
The new extended version of The Bridge with Daniels, Bianchi, Adam Reardon, Pistolka, Scott Harris will be joining us later. 8:30 to 10 o'clock is The Bridge. Our new start time on open mic, by the way, 7 to 8:30. And then The Bridge from 8:30 to 10. And then, of course, Daniels and the Beat of Sports. All right, turn it up.
What was the theme?
The theme is bands with onomatopoeia in the title. So
do you know what that means?
No.
So words that sound like the sound that it makes, like buzz, is an onomatopoeia because it sounds like a buzz.
Oh, okay. So this is in the title.
This is in the
Title
in the
of the
band.
band? Okay.
All right. So when you wreck your car,
Crash.
Okay. The spouse of a queen.
Crash King.
There you go. The Crash Kings.
He's getting better.
Hey!
And Crash, I'm assuming, is the...
Yes, Crash would be the onomatopoeia.
I thought he was going to say Crash Test Dummies.
Crash. Crash doesn't really sound like Crash.
Yeah.
Crash, crunch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Car crash.
Okay.
This is Mountain Man by the Crash Kings.
All right, real quick, Daniels. We were just talking about, Todd Gurley getting cut by the Rams yesterday, even though they signed him to a mega deal 2 years ago. I think it was like $27 million in guaranteed contract or in guaranteed money, and they cut him. And I went on my rant again about why does anybody ever draft a running back high or sign a running back for big money? And I know because you guys drafted Saquon Barkley, you disagree with that stance. But why would you disagree with the stance? I mean, over and over and over again.
I don't disagree with the stance for the second or third contract. I disagree with the stance because if you believe that you can get a player that's going to be as good as any other running back on that rookie contract, then you draft that player. And there are examples that defend your point and examples that defend my point. The rookie,
you're already annoyed. You're already annoyed with
the
me.
rookie contract years for Zeke Elliott were productive.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment, even though the Giants haven't been very good, the performance of a healthy Saquon Barkley backed that up. The problem is the wear and tear makes it very challenging for the second contract, which I have always defended the point of you better be careful of what you're getting as the tires get worn. So I said about Jonathan Taylor coming out of Wisconsin. You're getting a guy that is almost 1,000 carries.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure I would draft that guy. Well, Alvin Kamara split time at Tennessee. He didn't have anywhere near the wear and tear.
And we were talking yesterday about, why how we could probably be NFL GMs. Why do they keep doing it? Like, why do NFL, for instance.
They don't keep doing it.
Well, again, David Johnson was signed to a big deal. He just got cut.
Again.
Todd Gurley,
But I thought
Le'Veon Bell.
See, the only part that you and I are really arguing is on that.
The second contract.
Right. Again, I think if there's a special player that, again, go back to Leonard Fournette. Was that a bad draft pick based on the body of work we saw in college? Now, there was a few question marks about injuries, but the body of work was this guy that's playing, that could have turned pro as a freshman.
Yeah, again. Probably. I mean, if that's the style that the Jaguars wanted to play, pound the football and play defense.
When Leonard Fournette was running over people his freshman year, most people thought this is a guy that can make the jump now because of what we watched.
Yeah.
4 years of that, I'd be in your group that says, I don't know about that.
Would that change your opinion at all if guys who had big freshman years as running backs were eligible for the NFL
Yes,
draft.
they should be. It's the dumbest rule out
Right,
there.
no, it's a stupid rule.
It would probably change Mark Daniels' stance, but it wouldn't change mine.
You still, I mean, because that's an extra 2 years of tread on the
Well,
tire.
I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Jonathan Taylor's freshman year could have warranted, I don't know if it's a first-round pick, but certainly a second or third-round pick, and if given the choice and said, would you like to go take real money, as opposed to whatever you're taking now, and go to the NFL, he would have. But the rule said he couldn't, and then his coach didn't do anything wrong by trying to win games by giving him the football.
Yeah, I just think in today's NFL, again, it's a different game, and the whole ground and pound and running the ball a lot. I just don't think that's today's game. So why invest when you can invest on a couple of minimum wage running backs and do running back by committee and probably be.
And your point is the majority in the NFL. Again, I still think when you feel like you have a special back, and the two guys that I brought up, most believe that Zeke Elliott and Saquon Barkley were worth taking where they were taken because they produced.
By the way, so I'm reading this Todd Gurley story last night, and it's on ESPN.com, and then they do the 2 years ago. All right. Here, the fantasy football rankings of 2 years ago. You ready for this? This is what
this is how NFL teams should sign.
No. But this
is what I've been waiting for the whole show.
No. But this just the illustration is how people say the NFL is not for long. All right. Listen to 2 years ago the top fantasy picks. All right. Number 1, David Johnson. Number 2, Le'Veon Bell. Number 3, Antonio Brown. Number 4, Julio Jones, who's still. Number 5, Odell Beckham Jr. Number 6, LaShawn McCoy. And then number 7, Jordy Nelson. That's 2 years ago, and like 3/4 of those players are either out of the league or almost.
Now you have to draft 4 wide receivers first.
Right. So.
But again, you go back, and 2 years ago.
And Todd Gurley was on that list as well.
Right. But, okay. And when he gets that contract, it's coming off a 13 touchdown, 1,305 rushing yards, and 800 receiving yards.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, you question, be careful the wear and tear. By then, he's got 760 carries in the NFL.
Yeah.
And also, he's got at that point 130 receptions. So you could question, man, the wear and tear, is it worth something like that? And I probably said, like I remember saying, good player, but it's a lot of money to give somebody like that.
Fixify.
So, yeah, that's it's unbelievable to me that if you were a running back coming out of high school right now, all right, and you have dreams of playing in the NFL, would you ask to switch positions? Would you ask to switch? It used to be
Tom Brady posted on Instagram.
It used to be the star player on any high school team was the running back, and it's probably still the case. All right, but if I'm a star running back in high school, I'll say, "Can you switch me to cornerback?" That's what I would do.
Well, what's kind of scary is that as people sort of maybe come to your side of thinking like, hey, listen, after this guy is done with his first 4 years in the league, I can't give him a big deal because there's no tread left on the tire. So now running backs will never ever get a big deal. I mean, they'll have a good rookie contract if they're a first-round pick, but that second contract where you get paid, I think a lot of people look at Todd Gurley and go, well, I don't want to pay that much money for a guy in the second contract because I'm not going to get that. I'm not going to get that out of him.
You know who the third highest paid player in the NFL this year is?
No.
Okay, well,
they're all quarterbacks.
Russell Wilson's one at $35 million. Ben Roethlisberger's 2 at $34 million. Jared Goff is making $33.5 million.
Good God.
See, it wasn't the money.
That's why Dak Prescott should make at least that.
But it wasn't the money. It was your response going, wait, Jared Goff? After the season he had last year? He makes $33.5 million this year.
That is the business of sport. And speaking of the business of sport, UCF, how would you explain
Dr. Richard Lasky?
Yeah, is it a professor of business management?
I think you could say. I mean, he's a professor of many, but I think sports business and certainly sports policy, racial issues in sports. I'm not quite sure there's anybody better.
Nationally renowned UCF professor Richard Lapchick next on Open Mic.
Bianchi's got to get a quick workout in. You are. Open mic. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
Hey, you want to get ready for the summertime right now. If you want to do that and get that home AC unit maintained, you need to get the new app. It's called Fixify, F-Y-X-I-F-Y. With one click, you can hire a certified service technician that's already in your area, ready to come to your house right now. It's amazing. It's like the Uber of AC repair and maintenance. You can download that Fixify app right now to schedule your spring maintenance before it gets super hot. Your AC's working overtime. You can get that system maintained right now. I was on the Fixify app the other day, clicked. A certified technician was just 12 minutes away and on his way to my home for my spring maintenance. Download Fixify. You'll have the technician's name, photo, and customer service rating before you ever invite them to your house, and you pay right through that Fixify app. Download Fixify now. Get your spring maintenance done immediately. That's F-Y-X-I-F-Y, and get your AC fixed in a click.
This report
their entire existence outside of the 2002 season when they won the Super Bowl. But that doesn't mean that they can't flip a switch like any franchise in the NFL or sports period. Once someone with the relevancy of Tom Brady shows up and chooses you, or you get Zion with the first pick in the draft, it didn't matter that the Pelicans weren't relevant. They're relevant now, and all it took was one move. Now they're relevant. It's that simple. You're irrelevant until you're not.
In the Zone on FM 96.9 The Game. 96.9 The Game. FM.
HD. Online at 969thegame.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app. And on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeart radio station.
Open mic, now an extended break, takes May 13 to 10. Dr. Richard Lapchick, the chair of the UCS DeVos Sports Business Management Program, as well as the director for the Institute for Diversity and Ethics in Sports, and probably as good of a person to talk about a number of issues that you could find that pertains to what we're dealing with in sports and our society. And Dr. Lapchick, welcome. Good morning. I appreciate you joining us. How are you?
It's a pleasure to be there. I'm good, thank you. How about yourself?
We're fine. Just your overall thoughts on what we're watching from a sports standpoint, understanding the role that plays, not as important as, from the health world dealing with this coronavirus. But what we watch is unprecedented. You've seen much in sports that leads to change, but a complete shutdown. Just curious your thoughts on what we're watching.
Well, it's one of those times when I think the power of sport has come to play to help the country. We've had lots of crises in the past where a sports event drew people together, and I know Mike has written about things like that a lot over the course of his career. And I think in this particular case, when Adam Silver announced that the NBA was suspending its season, I think that was, for a lot of people, the salvo that said, this is really serious. We've got to do something about it, because the country was kind of bumbling along at that point. And I think things started to happen after that where people were paying attention and people were much more serious about the measures that needed to be taken. But I think Adam showed that he was a leader not only in the world of sports, but I think in the nation as well. And he emphasized how he thought that the NBA would influence young people who otherwise might not pay attention to the warnings and take precautions. And since the shutdown, I think one of the things that has impressed me, and I know, again, Mike wrote about it the other day, 17 players, 34 teams, and all the Major League Baseball teams announced that they are in some way going to pay for the lost wages of the people who work in their stadiums and arenas, because otherwise they would be without work. And I think they were embraced as being part of those teams and part of those families. And that, you see in this morning's paper that Darden is doing that for its employees that are going to be laid off. And I think, again, sports led the way.
Dr. Lapchick, Mike Bianchi, we always talk about how sports helps in the process of healing in times of turmoil and tragedy. I asked Alex Martins this the other day. I asked Buddy Dyer this, and now I'm going to ask you, who certainly knows about this topic. We don't have any sports now, and probably aren't going to have sports for quite some time to help us through this trying time. How different is this, and how much more sad does this make this?
Well, it's certainly a void that we've never experienced before. We don't know exactly what to do. I think replaying games is going to entertain people for a while on television, but it's obviously not the same as watching something live or rooting for your team or having, a player that is inspiring you. I think to some degree, I think I heard earlier that in the discussion about the lead-in during the break that Zion Williamson changed the Pelicans and made them relevant in the context of Brady making Tampa Bay relevant when it finally resumes. Well, I think Zion Williamson, his relevance even increased more because he was one of the first players to announce that he was going to literally pay the wages of every single employee of the arena where the Pelicans play. As a 19-year-old kid doing that, our athletes can still inspire us.
Dr. Lapchick, Marcus Smart, it was announced yesterday that he has contracted the coronavirus. The Boston Celtics point guard, Sean Payton, head coach of the New Orleans Saints. Both of them put out public service announcements yesterday, and they were very pointed to the young people in this country that you guys need to take this serious. This is real. Do you think that message will resonate, or will it start to resonate to the young people of this country?
I hope it will, because they seem to be the ones that, first of all, the news is it's not impacting them as much, and I understand that the numbers of who is contracting the disease are now going up in that age group. But when you see, seems like the beaches in our beautiful East Coast and West Coast of Florida for the past couple of days until the beaches were finally shut down, obviously a lot of young people were ignoring the warnings and carrying on with what was going to be their partying experience. So I think, having people like that young people respect is very important for them to see. And I think that's why Adam Silver, as he explained the other day, decided to shut down the NBA, is because if we're going to shut down our game, that's how serious this is. We've got to shut down America in a lot of ways to normal life and pull together as a team, as a nation.
Dr. Lapchick, we've seen examples where things have happened in the past that change sports in a variety of ways, and we hope this is shorter than longer. But at some point, we will get past this. How do you think this will change sports in a variety of ways? How we attend games, how we watch games, sports, and the operations themselves. This probably will have a long-term impact. What do you think the future of sports may look like?
Well, it's interesting because before all this happened, fans weren't going to attend games as much as they used to. So there was already a trend in that direction. People were watching games in different ways and are consuming sports in different ways than they did in the past. And, maybe there's a possibility here that, as fans have done in other times of crisis, like after 9/11, when the Boston Marathon bombing took place and the Red Sox took off, after being last for the previous 2 years, fans filled those stadiums because they wanted that life to be normal again somehow. So, I have a long-term hope that this is going to have that effect as well, that fans are going to want to be together, doing things together, celebrating sports together, because they haven't been able to do it in so long.
Dr. Richard Lapchick right here on the bridge. Dr. Lapchick, you are adept in the world of sports business. Again, we've never seen anything like this. How fragile economically are some of these sports leagues, whether it's college and the NCAA, whether it be the NBA, MLS? Can these leagues afford a long-term shutdown?
Well, I think that, Mike, the same answer would apply to a lot of businesses, that we just don't know the long-term answer. But obviously there's a hope that, the government will put money into segments of the economy that will boost the economy and allow it to bounce back at some point. It's hard to see where that is at this point, but one would only hope that the world would treasure that value that sports does have to bring people together and to help that healing process and help sustain it and boost it in ways that maybe the average fan wouldn't go to a game, but might go to a game because of that particular moment, or support his team in a different way or her team in a different way in the future. That will boost sports back to the point where it can be as successful as it obviously has been for so many generations.
Also, we've seen stories where in the NBA collective bargaining agreement, the Major League Baseball bargaining agreement, that for national emergencies or national tragedies, when a league has to shut down for quite a period of time, I guess there's a clause in player contracts that the players don't have to be paid by those leagues. Do you think baseball or the NBA will exercise those clauses?
I think that I don't think they would fully exercise them because they would want that long-term buy-in from the players. But I think even the players know that they make such an extraordinary amount of money, and in a time of great economic crisis, I could see the possibility of players opting to take a reduced salary and having that money be contributed to worthy causes, as individual players are now doing.
Quickly, Dr. Lapchick, we got about a minute. I know you have incredible respect for the Olympics, and they've not yet made their decision. What do you think may happen? There's a one-year delay likely, and if we do get past this, I would imagine it may be an incredible Olympics to kind of unify the world when that takes place.
Well, I agree that I don't see any way that the Olympics are going to be held now as currently scheduled, but there is the potential to bring that global community together as only an Olympics can do. And, if it was a year from now and we were in the recovery process, I think it would be one of the great events of the next year, if not the next decade, this decade 30. Rather, as a potential to heal not only individual countries but the global spirit.
Dr. Richard Lapchick, he is known as the conscience of sports, and we certainly do appreciate him joining us. Thank you, Dr. Lapchick.
Thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure to be around you two.
10.
All right, let's pause for just a few seconds for station identification.